Welcome. This is a video on what's your first step as an entrepreneur as you're graduating from school. And this is a list of best practices for startups. There really is a new way to do entrepreneurship. We've been teaching it from a textbook and it just doesn't work. You can't teach risk-taking. Interestingly enough, you can teach risk-taking though. There is a lot of methods we're going to look at right now to how to reduce your risk. Make it easier for you to jump off that cliff. Entrepreneurship is it's a verb. It's not a noun. It's not a thing. It's a doing thing, and the nearest synonym is execution. Just do it. We talk about entrepreneurs being activated, and we want to activate you. And I think this video hopefully will help you activate. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is someone who searches and experiments with opportunities to capture margin. Margin is the difference between price you can sell it for and what you build it for, and we want to go find places where they have thick, juicy margins, and we want to capture those margins. And we experiment, we play around, we look for opportunities, we put one and one together and make it three. Another way to describe an entrepreneur lifestyle is you jumping off a cliff, and you're assembling a plane on the way down. This approaching ground that you see there allows you to get very focused. It lends to that bias of action, and it allows you to do things you never would have done before. Some characteristics of entrepreneurs, and these are just stereotypes. The most important one is a bias for action. Just do it. And really you see entrepreneurs like the really good of just let's get going and let's start doing it. Let's get this done. They're great intuitive learners. That means they're naturally learn how to figure things out themselves. They're good searchers, and they'll figure out how to fix things, or how to do things, how to get the answer to it. Natural curiosity is really helpful. What if you put that together with that? I really think entrepreneurs I know of are all extremely competent people, and that leads to this idea of confidence. They know they can do it, and that allows them to be risk tolerant. Hey, I can do this. I'm confident. I'm going to jump off this cliff. And there's a huge spectrum of the demographics. Entrepreneurial thinking is about solving problems, and even if you work in a big corporation, you can use entrepreneurial thinking to fix that solution, right? And the idea of seeking out new solutions, new opportunities, looking for what's possible as opposed to reasons why something can't get done. Entrepreneurs is a lot about, and what we're going to look at Lean Startup is this constant kind of battle to reduce risk. And there's lots of different types of risk, and you're working hard every day to reduce that risk. Capital risk, go get financing, get debt or new partners, or bring in equity people. The market risk is learn about market, get out in front of the customers and see what works. Technology risk is building that new website or doing that new whatever and proving it works. And then team risk is about finding partners that complement you and bring people in. Another idea to think about is entrepreneurship is this constant race against time to create value, and you're always having that bias for action. It's always a way of how do we reduce our risk, learning more constantly, figuring things out, proving things, validating your ideas. What is a startup? So it's a temporary organization. This idea is you're searching for a repeatable and scalable business model. Every company startup is a startup, and every company has a unique business model, and you're always as an entrepreneur in that search mode trying to figure out how to make this work, how to find a business model that you can do over and over again. You can make it big, and we do want you to scale. Scale means get big. The gazelles we talk about. We talk about Lean Startup. Well, eventually we want you to get fat, and that means provide good jobs for Winnipeggers. Lean Startup has a whole comes from Silicon Valley, Stanford kind of area. Steve Blank has a great book called Startup Owner's Manual. He has even easier is a Udacity online course where he just puts it right out in front of you. Go look at that right after this. Eric Ries did a Lean Startup book. You just listen to him on YouTube; it'd be easier. Alex Osterwald brought in this idea of the business model canvas, which we're going to look at in just a second. Guy Kawasaki, Art of the Start is a great one. There's a Stanford online course by Chuck Easley that puts it all together called Technology Entrepreneurship. That is just fantastic, and it goes off every so often. Why build a startup? Well, it's the best time in history to be an entrepreneur. Costs are falling, barriers are being destroyed. You can reach a global audience so quickly. Disruption and change are everywhere. You know, the CEOs they're not afraid of the competition they see every day. They're worried about those two people in the garage or at Ramp Up who are doing some disruptive change, doing something totally different. Make a dent in the world. Do something with, you know, that impacts people, and build an organization of lasting value that makes people's lives better. Unemployment rate for youth is quite high right now, and where's employment coming? It's coming from self-employment, and really entrepreneurship and tech entrepreneurship in particular is really the next generation of jobs, and we need you guys to be leaders to start these great companies. Eric Ries, who coined a lean startup, talks about stopping wasting people's time. This idea of building, I spent a lot of time doing it, wasting people's time, building really big business plans that never been validated. You've probably seen Dragon's Den, where someone comes and pitches an idea, and the first question I always ask is, you know, what are your sales? What's your validation? And if you don't have validation or sales, they basically start, you know, throwing things at you. And so this idea is you have a hypothesis and you start proving it. And we've wasted I've seen so many times where someone has an idea and they build a big business plan or start a company and it fails automatically or right away because there's, you know, customers don't want to buy it. They haven't developed their customers. The old paradigm was research an idea and then write a business plan. And then get financing. But you know, if you talk to entrepreneurs, they're talking about, you know, hear things like, we're on version number 9 of our business plan, and you know, because entrepreneurs are learning every day, they should be saying my business plan changes every day because they're learning every day. A lot of people have argued saying they need a business plan who are entrepreneurs, and then you'll ask them, well, how many business plans have you written? And well, none. Or they might say, well, I've done some work in Excel, and that's important to set up my finances. The point is, startups are not smaller versions of larger companies. A business plan for an entrepreneur in search mode changes every day, so they don't write them. And even at the most extreme, you could say writing the business plan states you have no more to learn. But you know, you're going to be writing business plans, I guarantee you. A business plan is proof that you've thought about your business. And bottom line, local governments, financiers, they want CYBF wants you to write a business plan, and they need to get something down. They want you to show you what their idea is, and you've thought of everything, and they're going to challenge you on all your ideas. Lean Startup has a lot of tools, and I can't get a lot of these, but I'm going to go through them as quick as possible. And let's start with identifying the pain. Build your business, and hopefully you're going to bootstrap it with something very simple. Build your business around a problem that needs fixed, right? Look for pain. I wish someone built a product that did this, or I wish there was a place that you could go to that you could do that. You know, look for that unmet need. Later on, I'm gonna it's called the Steve Jobs. That's my term, the Steve Jobs exception. We're going to talk about later on. The first set of great tools is the Business Model Canvas, developed by Alex Osterwald. You can just Google this and get tons of stuff on it. Let's go take a listen to what the Business Canvas is all about.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the Business Model Canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. Customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
Well, there's your startup business plan. Doing right off the hop with your hypotheses. And the idea is you learn something every time you get it in motion. And you're going to have many versions of this every time, come back every week or two and build it, what you've learned and how your business model changed. And every company has a unique business model, and things like the canvas, looking at like channels. How do you reach your customer? It's really important to think of all these things. You don't need a couple $100,000 to start a business. We really want you, this idea of bootstrapping. Do without, start with $1,000 to $3,000. Start something simple. Get revenue positive right away. Get in front of customers right away. Join something like in the Scentworks and do some. You can build stuff pretty easily. Start selling it to it. Get a product line out at a farmer's market. We've just recently launched Portage Place, a retail pop-up incubator for doing retail. Get you, instead of call these all soft landings, is get you in front of customers as soon as possible. The MVP is that minimum viable product, and so a prototype or $400 worth of a line of a product that allows you to get in front of customers and listen to them, learn from them. Do they want the product in red or blue? Is your customer tall or short? And those are things you want to learn, and that's really important. Talk about getting in front of customer and get validation. Because startup is always about, it's about experimentation. You're trying things, new things, experimenting. And the search process is important. We don't want you to fall in love with your first idea because it makes it difficult to continue exploring. You need to be flexible enough. Prototyping is this conversation you have with your ideas and you get in front of informed experts or customers. We do have there is a plan for bootstrapping your finances. We talk about $1,000 to $3,000 is enough to get you out of bed, but enough if it blows up, you can start again. And then you can move on to a Young Entrepreneurs Grant, the Canadian Business Foundation. You get $15,000 pretty easily. Then we can get into RBC and ACU, a couple others, have this business start loan that you can use the COVF money as equity to secure the loan. We can get you up to $70,000 pretty quickly. And then there's other government grants and second round angel investors that we can talk about later on. This idea of customer develop is when you go to that farmer's market and you get in front of customers, you get validation from them. I like to buy this. Yeah, that looks great. And you see what works, right? And if it doesn't work, you need to go back and change it again. And we call that a pivot. Okay, they don't like it in red. They like it in blue. That's a small pivot. A small pivot is called an iteration. A big pivot is, okay, this major plank of how we think it's going to operate is totally different. We thought it was a failure. No, but we just going to try something totally different this way. That works. Okay, going in a different way. So pivot is this. It works as a iterative process. That means try things over and over again, and you want to do as many pivots as possible so you get a business model that actually is validated, that works, that you can sell again and again and scale up. So that's what the search process of an entrepreneur is, to find the business idea that is repeatable and scalable. You can just not sell things once, but many times over, and you can scale up to make a big business. And we want you talking to a network. You need to join the startup community. You need to build your own network. The question is, who should I talk to about my idea? The answer is anyone can give you informed feedback, and we're going to talk about mentors later on. Your competitive advantage is not like I have a good idea and others don't, and it's just, please go away, people talk that way, or I need you to sign an NDA. And someone who says, I have a great idea, but I can't tell you, just walk away from them. Your competitive advantage is that the idea is in motion and you're assembling your network and you're moving and adjusting to get the right idea in the right network. There is a kind of a code in the startup world. If it's your idea, no one's going to steal it from. They're going to help you develop it. And if you ever do steal it for someone, you're kind of blackballed for life and no one will talk to you again. Repeating what is the pivot? It comes from basketball, this idea that we're changing direction, but we're staying grounded in what we've learned, and we've learned it from, and we're moving in a different way. And the idea is to reduce time between pivots before we run out of time and money, right? And you only got so much time and money as an entrepreneur, and so you want to, this idea of failing fast and spending as little amount of money learning from your mistakes, because that entrepreneurs do make mistakes, and those mistakes are learning points. So putting this a little together of the basics of lean, this idea of phase one, state a hypothesis. Draw out your first business model canvas. Start testing a problem. Get out of the building, build a wireframe or a prototype, or do farmers market, and test out what the customers think about it, and then test it again. Build on your pivot if you have to. Start executing. Execution. Here we go. Let's start building this up. And then, phase four, verify it or pivot. Okay, try something differently. Okay, this is going to work. Let's start executing on it. As founders, and that's what entrepreneurs really are, and that's what should be on your business card. What can they do to move things forward? Change the product, make those pivots, hear the customer feedback firsthand. You as founder have to be doing this. The Steve Jobs exception I talked about a little earlier on. Steve Jobs said, we don't listen to our customers, we'll tell them what they want. And Johnny Ives, who's like some people say the greatest designer in the world, he's a senior VP of design at Apple, mentioned that, noted that it's not the consumer's job to imagine what the future could be. Did you ever know that you wanted an iPhone, right? But this idea of new technologies and new processes affords innovation. Probably Johnny Ives and Steve Jobs saw multi-touch on a TED Talk, and they probably were shown Gorilla Glass, and they'd worked before on a version that didn't work, and they just put it together into the iPhone. And it was an iterative process, a series of aha moments. And this idea of, lean startup talks about listening to the market, and this idea of market pull. And the technology pushed is this idea of if you went on a startup bus crawl, you saw all these cool kind of hotspots for innovation, and you put this together with that, and hey, customer, check this out, and they that's what innovation. So it's both tech push and market pull. Another point, this idea of flexible persistence, and entrepreneurs are given two contradictory ideas. So the idea is you need to keep focused, be laser focused, but at the same time, hey, you got to be adaptive, ready to listen to your customer and change, make a pivot. And Reid Hoffman, who founded LinkedIn, said you need to do both. You need to keep a vision and be flexible. So there's the idea of flexible persistence. Weave a Mat comes from Guy Kawasaki, who is a Silicon Valley kind of icon. And he talks about weaving a mat and not a business plan. So building a lot of milestones, you need to have goals, right at the start. And you need to build in some structure into this ambiguous, this life of ambiguity that entrepreneurs have. And so build structure. We need to do this, build a prototype, and do this, and get that validation, get revenue positive. And you want to write them down, all these assumptions. You want to test them. And in the task, that's what you do day to day. And every day it's about accomplishing a milestone or testing an assumption and moving forward constantly, get in motion. Also important, this idea of partners, mentors, and community. If you can't sell or you can't do coding, you need to find partners who do that. And so find complementary partners with skill sets that you need for your startup, and partner up with them. And see it all the time. Other people say, I want to be a lone wolf. A players partner with A+ players. That's really important. Hire better in yourself, or partner with someone better than you. B players hire C, C players D, and so on before you have a bunch of Fs. So look to play, look to partner, look to work with people even better than you. Mentorship is really important to start, and something we'll work on later on your journey. But you want to find mentors that you can learn from, right? Someone in the same industry, a couple years ahead of you, and all the mistakes they made, they can warn you not to make the same ones. And it's really important to get into the community support. The startup community works on this idea of being a mensch or having karma. And so, people get in the community and they have those mentors helping out, and if they see someone a little bit behind them, help them out yourself, and always be ready to help out and be this idea of cooperate locally and compete globally. So I hope you guys are thinking of jumping off that cliff. And for years I took entrepreneurship students. We built big, hairy business plans that looked for $200,000 to start up, and they would always balk, and it doesn't work. And this idea, think about looking for small cliffs. A small cliff is renting a desk at Ramp Up. Go to a trade show. Go sell at a farmer's market. Go ask someone for money. Entrepreneurs need to be able to ask for money. They need to have to do sales. A good example is Nick Danziger, who was on the Startup Bus Crawl in 2013. He saw the startup community on that day, and he said, okay, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm just going to sit here until I figure it out. And he did. He rented a desk at Ramp Up. He had 18 different ideas, but we focused down to 1 or 2. And he was selling. He used to work at his hypothesis comes from his job working at Visions or Electronic Consumers, and he knew that computers sold for very small margins, but they made all their money on the cabling that went with it. Big, thick, juicy margins on the cabling. So Nick said, "Hey, I'll build a website and I'll start selling all this cabling with these big margins." And remember, that's what entrepreneurship is: looking for opportunities to capture margin. And Nick went to a farmer's market, and he started selling. He asked people for money, and he learned from that, and what people bought, what they didn't. Did they want in red or blue? Are they, he learned who his customers are. Are they tall, are they short, and why do they buy it? And he started making changes and learning from that. Remember, every day, his business plan changed, and he worked hard at it. This is lunchtime in the Ramp Up space. He's all alone. Everyone's out for lunch. So Nick was in the saddle all the time, and he works very hard. And he's focused, but ready to change. And he got exposed to being in Ramp Up. You're also exposed right next door is this CentWorks, which is a rapid prototyping center, and where they have laser cutters. And one day, Randy Merritt, one of the makers there, said, "Have you considered etching on your cell phone covers that you sell?" And being one of many aha moments that Nick started to come up with, and he started to be his big cash flow maker. This idea of selling custom cell phone covers, built a website, got in front of people. He's at the retail incubator. He looks for opportunities always to be putting it forward, and he's making money off it. But you're never going to become a billionaire selling cell phone one for at a time, even though he's got big business customers. The next step was laser suites, which is basically the idea of having a laser cutter and putting it inside one of those, the key cutters that you see at the shopping mall kiosks, and allow people to make their own cell phone covers, customize it, and so they put their own name in and put their image in or a picture, and he's building out software that allows them to use customize the text, graphs, and photos, and he's learning to do things. You make it better and better. And you can do some really cool stuff with it now, and scale up. And we're looking for that J curve, or the gazelle we call it, of how we can get bigger and have this a repeatable and scalable business. Take it out to the community and pitches, and best new product win there, and get an informed expert, get it in motion. Another thing he's working on is Bloater, where he went to Ramp Up weekend. He sits down beside a fellow who's really, Chris Tweeten, who's really into social media, and the two of them came up with an idea of using GPS and Twitter liking to build customer bases, and they took it to Ramp Up weekend and did very well on that as well. And that's another scalable business they're working at that Nick just connected with someone in the startup community and started moving forward with. The movie Matrix, there's a point where Morpheus is talking to Neo and said, you need to make a choice. You can take that blue pill. The story ends, you wake up in bed, and you go back to the comfortable enslavement of the cubicle. you take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and that ramp up is that first soft landing. That's the rabbit hole that we can take you down. I hope you guys take that red pill and join the community and become an entrepreneur. For a call, just a quick call to action. Sign up on the Red Manitoba meetup.com site. It's just once a month mailer. We have meetups every month where we discuss things and connect. Attend those Ramp Up monthly meetings and get in the community. Hey, choose your desk at Ramp Up. It's waiting for you. Get in motion and do great things. I hope to see you soon. Give me a call, give me an email, and get in the community.